There's a reason why you tune into me. At 290,000 subscribers, approaching 300,000 subscribers after 5 months of starting this channel, I go to incredible detail to make sure you're up to date by the minute of the twisting turning events. And tonight, there's turning events in Trump's universe to get stimulus package approved that is totally different than what was happening just an hour ago, totally different than what was happening this morning, totally different than what was happening 4 hours ago. It's absolutely hitting the fan like you have never seen. This is a special broadcast in which it actually takes two recordings, this one and Purple Power coming right up after this, to tell you how everything has changed tonight. It's very exciting, it's very focused, but you need to be able to focus because this is the time in which you could get your stimulus if you push really hard. This is Evenings LALATE. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Evenings LALATE in a special 1-hour telecast in which we cover both this check and then Purple Power. But the two shows will be merged in basically two different recordings, one after another, because there is so much going on tonight. Go to the Frontage channel, wrong finger. Go to the Frontage channel and subscribe. Subscribe because, boy, I have gone and found stuff that your head is going to spin. My head spun as well. Also, like this video. Coming up tonight, you will see why everything has changed since even Pelosi versus Mnuchin that was uploaded less than an hour ago before this recording. Stuff has changed this afternoon's LALATE at 3:30 Pacific time. Stuff has changed this morning's LALATE. It's all totally a different playing game. Let me explain to you where we are and what you're going to hear in this recording. What you're going to hear in this recording is that President Trump, and insiders now reveal why President Trump did what he did 48 hours ago in calling off the stimulus chats. Why President Trump is deeply worried tonight. Why this is the time in which you to strike to get your stimulus package. Whether this president is reelected or not, he wants to give stimulus, and he is absolutely desperate to give it right now. So this is the time to get your executive orders. All right, let me get to the breaking news. The breaking news is a merger of really two different reports that came from two different sources late tonight. The first one is a very, very comprehensive report that goes into what went wrong with Trump 48 hours ago. The second report is a report that is headlining CNBC tonight. Let me get to the breaking details. First, the details of what Trump did last night and the day before and even this morning, are shockingly revealed in a new report from Axios. It says that President Trump was very nervous after he announced the end of a call-off of the stimulus packages. He called House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and said he was very nervous. Why? Because the stock market crashed as soon as he announced the stimulus package talks were off. He immediately called McCarthy and said he wanted a big deal with Nancy Pelosi. What the report then says is that Trump was shocked and did not expect the stock market to crash upon his announcement, was spooked, and that immediately called Steve Mnuchin and said, no, we got to get a stimulus package approved before the election or I'm toast. He then went beyond doing something else. He then initially thought, let's just do a deal for PPP and the airlines and get that done quickly because I'll look really good. So Mnuchin followed the instructions, called Pelosi Wednesday. Remember that I covered that yesterday and said, how about a deal for the airlines and PPP? Well, Pelosi said no, of course, because that's too narrowly tailored. Then, on the other hand, you saw the stuff that was coming out as soon as he announced the end of the stimulus chats. Susan Collins, Republican senator, said, what are you doing? I'm going to start calling people and start complaining. She's like, well, apparently the complaining hit the fan on Wednesday evening. Several people immediately started reaching out to Trump and were furious in the Republican Party that he had walked away from the stimulus negotiations and the way he did it on Twitter. They thought it was going to hurt their reelection and were irate. Washington leaders, moreover, were baffled shortly after he wanted his teams to negotiating. They said that that was contradictory. They said they did not expect this, and they wanted Trump to revert right away. Now, ironically, the next part of the report confirms everything I've been telling you for the last 48 hours based upon my opinion. Remember, opinion, source, and fact. My opinion was Trump was a little bit bothered by Jerome Powell, head of the Federal Reserve's remarks that said, you need a lot of stimulus and don't worry about giving extra stimulus. Ultimately, when extra stimulus goes to the economy, it floats around and it comes back and it never hurts anything. And that the federal budget can afford more debt to do more stimulus. We're certainly fine for this. And that the United States has only given 15% of stimulus out of its GDP. Most countries have spent 33%. Spend more stimulus, said Jerome Powell. Well, apparently, Trump actually really liked those comments and agreed with Powell. And then he thought, I made a mistake. I need to do more stimulus, bigger stimulus, and I need to do it right away and get myself reelected. Then came another twist. The next part of the report claims that Trump personally took issue with himself in calling off the negotiations, and he thought it was personally a bad strategic decision. It was bad economically, it was bad for his reelection, and it was a bad image overcross. So what he did on Fox Morning News, where he was basically sort of almost sweet-talking Nancy, everything was really good going yesterday, everything was really great, and they were making a lot of progress. Remember how I talked about that earlier today? I'm like, that's not really what happened, but it's a little bit sugarcoating. The reason why he was sugarcoating it was because he felt a little bit guilty that he had really messed up. He said, we were looking at it, and we weren't making progress, but now we've done really great stuff. So where is the catch tonight? The report claims that Trump wants a big deal. He wants a big deal that spends several trillions of dollars to help him secure re-election. And that was what he had sort of been running away from for over months and months. We all know that. And now he thinks giving a multi-trillion-dollar deal, 1, will help the economy, 2, will get him reelected, and 3, he's worried he's waited too long. Everything that we have been talking about on this channel, that I have been reporting to you as my opinion of the situation, but my analysis of the situation is apparently now true. Trump should have done a big stimulus deal. He should have spent fortunes on the U.S. people and the U.S. Unemployed people and the SSDI and SSI and Social Security and small businesses. He did not. They did not rebound the way they were supposed to rebound. And ultimately, they're going to look at him and say, you didn't give us money. And now he's worried it's too late. Next report, CNBC. Guess what the major report, the front page report on CNBC is tonight? A picture of Steve Mnuchin with this picture that says Steve Mnuchin has been ordered to do a major stimulus deal right away. Talk about the 11th hour, 26 days to the election. There's a reason why I have a new show called 28. I told you everything's going to hit in the next 28 days. Now, let's sit back and let's pause for a second. You're hearing all this movement tonight, and you're like, okay, this is a lot of movement. This is a lot of movement. Someone has certainly woken up suddenly. This is what we were talking about. We were talking about that night of epiphany, or that day of epiphany. What's an epiphany? An epiphany is when you realize something you have not realized until that point. It's sort of like, you meet a nice girl. You're like, I didn't realize I should really marry her. Well, hello, finally you woke up. So this is the moment of epiphany. Apparently the president has woken up. Or as Nancy Pelosi would say, the steroids have worn off. He's woken up. Maybe he got kicked by a cow at the casino. And he's like, oh, maybe I should be giving a lot of stimulus. I don't know what I've been doing all along. I messed up. And he sees 3 factors. 1, he's not debating. So no one's going to get another image of him debating. 2, his images will project from the White House, but his policy, he only has really one big policy to go on, and that is the Supreme Court justice. 3rd, this is the single issue that most polled people say when you put Biden and Trump line together, Trump beats Biden on economic policy. But, if there is no economic policy, Trump doesn't win. He thinks that this is the way to get the win. CNBC tonight. Speaker Pelosi and Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin spoke about a broad coronavirus plan tonight, capping another day of jumbled efforts. It was 40 minutes, and they were talking about whether there was a prospect. This is a quote. Whether there was a prospect of an imminent agreement on a comprehensive bill. There's that word again, imminent. Imminent. I did that all remember Nancy's on Friday. Imminent Saturday, imminent Thursday, imminent Sunday, imminent. It's, not mint or not M&M, it's imminent. Imminent. Is there an imminent deal? This is what's interesting, is that there was so much mixed messaging during Pelosi and Mnuchin's interview that Pelosi had to ask Mnuchin, wait a second. Trump earlier today was talking about narrowly tailored, just airlines, just PPP. Now you're talking to me about broad stroke. The speaker trusts the secretary speaks for the president, says Drew Hamill. What happened was Pelosi said, wait a second, Steve, this is different, Steve Mnuchin. This is different than what I even heard from the president just a few hours ago. What's going on? Steve Mnuchin said the president's changed. The president wants to do a comprehensive bill. He wants to do an absolute comprehensive bill. He wants to do it right away. He wants to get it passed before the election. Hamill said Mnuchin made clear, quote, made clear, Trump has an interest in finding an agreement on a comprehensive relief bill right away. Generally considered one that will address a lot of issues like jobless, direct payments, state and local, and relief to airlines to cover payroll. Pelosi said to Mnuchin that his comments of what the White House, what Trump allegedly wanted, was directly in contradiction to what Elisa Ferrer, White House communication director, had said just hours earlier, that the Trump administration only wanted a few narrowly things and a simple airline standalone bill bailout, but not, quote, not part of a large package. Well, Mnuchin had to cover for the president, said, no, well, actually, that's the wrong verb. Mnuchin had to explain for the president that the president has changed his mind. He's back in wanting to do a large-scale bill and do it imminently. Now, if you're still with me at the 12-minute mark, you have to stay with me because there's a lot more hitting. And I want you to understand, this is totally different. This is not like everything that we've heard in recent days. Oh, yeah, they're just chatting. This is a total different situation. And I hope you grasping so far how this is totally different. This is a person who realized he's against the ropes. President Donald Trump is against the ropes. He's down 10% across every state. Some states he's down 14%. He's losing percentage points week to week. There's polling on that as well. He needs to pull a rabbit out of the hat trick. It's this. Later Thursday, for our total reporters, we're hoping to do something bigger, but we're not going to operate from the $2.2 trillion the speaker laid out. Well, Nancy didn't like that either, saying you're just telling me you're not going to do exactly what I never was going to do. Well, what Mnuchin said was, no, Trump, Mr. President, has changed his mind. He will do a comprehensive relief bill, and he'll do it imminently. That caused Drew Hamill, on behalf of Pelosi, to tweet, the president trusts that the secretary is speaking for the president. Pelosi trusts that Steve is talking for the president. This is a total reversal from just hours earlier today. It's a total reversal from 2 days ago, and a total reversal from a day before. We're at the table. We continue to negotiate, continue the conversation. We've made some progress. We're exchanging the language. The speaker told reporters after the negotiations, Mitch McConnell, I think we're still talking or trying to see if we can narrow our differences. And there is some discussion from day to day that can be confusing for all of us to follow. I love it's sometimes like this. I just sort of like Mitch, even though he's so unlikable other days. He's like, it's a little confusing for some of us to follow. Yeah, I think so, Mitch. It's very confusing until thank God for this channel. But we're still engaging, and we're hopefully move forward. Well, thank you. He said at some point we're going to have to find a way to forward, because I do think there's a bipartisan agreement that we need another package, that the amount of money is not irrelevant. Is not irrelevant, He's saying that the amount of money is very important. That is what's really shocking tonight. The report ends with CNBC. The president appears to have reversed course since Tuesday. Trump, who was suddenly concerned about the stock market drop after he called off talks, called House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and says he wants a big deal with Pelosi right away. Boy. Okay, so Now, what does this do for you? Purple Power, time to strike. Time to strike. I hope you still stay with me at the 15-minute mark, because otherwise you have to grasp all the severity and the importance and the strategy of this. Purple Power, executive orders. Purple Power, get those deal points in. Nancy is going to work it for her own benefit. It's time for Purple Power to work it for our own benefit. The president has seen your tweets. Mnuchin has seen your tweets. Meadows has seen your tweets. There's a spookiness that's going through the White House, and the spook is that people are blaming him for not giving them stimulus. Guess who gave him that spook? Us. And so you need to really spook him badly and make him understand, sir, executive orders. Sir, executive orders. Now, there are lots of parts of Nancy's bill that are good, and there's lots of parts of Nancy's bill that are bad. You don't inherently would want the president to just sign off on Nancy's bill, and I don't think he's going to. So that's why you want to make sure that your agenda, the Purple Power's agenda, is front and center with this president, who is now laser focused, arguably more than even the Supreme Court nominee, laser focused on stimulus right now because of his concerns. Why has this epiphany occurred? There's a lot of potential explanations to it. My opinion is that the president gauges consumer confidence of his dealing with the economy based upon how the stock market trades. I got it. I know it sounds ridiculous. I know it's not correct, but he does. Even ask anyone on CNBC, they mention it every morning. The president looks at the stock market. The stock market goes up. He thinks he's doing a good job. If the stock market goes down, he thinks he's doing a bad job. But you have to understand that the stock market trades based upon news. And when the president announces something, and then Nancy announces something negative and the stock market crashes, or the president announces, I'm calling off stimulus chats and the stock market crashes, you have to get a little spooked. They moved the stocks down because of what you said about the economy. And you're supposed to be the president for the economy. Gotta use that gotta use that Purple Power. So you have to be on social media, pushing harder than ever, pushing with the president, Mnuchin, Meadows, Mnuchin's press secretary, Drew Hamill. You have to push with all these people. Kevin McCarthy, you have to push with all these people. Don't necessarily target people that have accounts of, 2-3 million followers. Target staff members to the president, target staff members to Mnuchin, staff members to Pelosi. Make them see your tweets to say, no, we need stimulus. We need $1,200 stimulus checks, $2,400 stimulus checks, dependence checks of $1,200. We need hazard pay. We need retroactive benefits of FPUC back to July, not back to September 5th. We need family of five, $6,000 checks, $1,200. We need these things, and we need them now. Now's the time to strike. He's against the ropes. He absolutely is against the ropes. The inability to go to a debate, the inability to see the polls work in your favor, the inability to see Wall Street is happy with your just calling off the negotiations for stimulus is all hitting him hard. And now is the time to really strike. Let me go over to some of your comments from yesterday, see how many I can get to. Barbara, why hasn't Trump already done executive orders? There seems to be a disconnect with this president. You're seeing tonight. The epiphany hitting tonight should have been there months ago. And maybe he's surrounded with a lot of confused, not so smart people like Larry Kudlow. If maybe he's being fed bad stuff by Larry Kudlow and people like that, saying, the economy's fine, Mr. President. Walmart's trading really well. You're good. Don't worry about it. We're all good. America loves you. No, it's not working that way. Nancy in the comments, not the Nancy. I'm so broke I can't even pay attention, trying to laugh hard, but I want to cry. Mike Williams, negotiations with Nancy Pelosi are useless. Precious Baker, this is just like the American Horror Stories. It's the reality we live in now. Lee Wright, if he wants my vote, he better send some checks before November 3rd. Are you listening, Mr. President? Send out the stimulus checks. Are you listening, Purple Power? Tell him to send out the stimulus checks. Rolling on Hampton. Has anyone noticed all the political videos have gone up recently? Yeah, they're spending fortunes. They got to get these people elected or got to get these people voted out. Kay Wazensky, what's the point of bailing out the airlines? Barbara, we're burned on the back and forth. Scort Kyle, Nancy here Nancy hairdo, they probably paid $1,000 for what was paid for your taxes. It didn't cost a lot for all that. Brian Ross, people in Congress should really be put personal bias aside and do what's right for our nation. That's the best comment of the day. Go to the channel, subscribe because boy, you see where we're going. You see where we're going. Coming up next is Purple Power, but it's going to be a continuation of this broadcast. But this is a big one. This is a big one. I hope you share and like this video. Also like the video, as I just said. Coming up next, Purple Power. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, stay positive, and stay informed, and stay FLA for more.